And we are live. Hello, everybody. How are we tonight? I'm excited to be here with my special guest, Wendy. We are going to dive into Wendy's story. Oh, where did she go? Okay, we will wait for Wendy to reconnect because I feel like I lost her somehow. But she's going to share her story with us and tell us basically how energy healing, here she is. Let's see, add her back. Okay, good. Hey, we got you. That's good. That's all that matters. So she's going to share her story with us about how energy healing has really helped her heal after a toxic marriage. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Danielle Ingenito. I am an expert in toxic relationships and healing after them. And I use spirituality and energy healing to help you do that. So thank you for being here. If you are here with us, please let us know in the comments. Say hi. I do see comments popping in. If you are in the Facebook group, Turning Pain into Power, you want to make sure that you give me your name as you write the comments so that we know who we're talking to. But I want to say hello to Hope, Sonia, Tracy, Nancy, Sue, Stacy. Hello, ladies. Hello. So, Wendy, welcome. How you doing tonight?
Good, really good.
Good. I'm excited to dive into your story because I think it's very different from usually the women that I work with. You got something about you, which we'll dive into, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit about what you were going through before kind of we worked together?
So should I talk about what's unique about me maybe first? So I am a therapist. I'm a trauma therapist. I've been a therapist for 30 years. Don't do any math. So I've done a ton of my own work and felt like I was really, kind of knew what I was doing. And I got out of a marriage that didn't work for a lot of other reasons. And I felt like I was on step and things were going to go so well. And I met this amazing man and felt like, this is it. I've arrived and everything's going to be wonderful. And then kind of that bait and switch thing started happening. And I started being like, what is happening? And sort of that metaphor of the frog in the pot where, he's like, is something wrong in here? Okay, I guess we're okay. And then just getting more and more hot and then just had what I understand is one of those tower card moment where everything just shattered. And I was like, whoa. And then everything started making sense. And it was really spooky how much I had like just allowed and little by little. And so I was really kind of beside myself, realizing that I had been in another toxic relationship and I didn't even know it. And that kind of freaked me out. And with all the work that I've done, I felt like, something was missing is all I knew. And I had probably about 2-3 months after all that happened, on one of the Facebook things that you had, there was a Reiki session, and I don't even remember what it was. I ran across it here recently, but I don't remember what it was. And I remember being in my office, and I thought, oh, I have half an hour. I'll give it a shot. Let me see what happens. And I just remember feeling like this really powerful ache in my chest, and I felt something release, and I was like, whoa, that was cool. I don't know what that was, but I'm curious about it. And so I reached out to you. And then we decided to wait because I was going through a lot, selling houses and moving and stuff. And then I don't know how long you want me to go. I can go on and on. But then when I had the time and space emotionally to do the program, I started it kind of, and I have to say that as a therapist, there's so many times where I hear you talk about things that I went to school for and learned. And I know that you are not, I know you don't have a graduate degree, but you're spot on with, I haven't even heard you say anything that was off. And I was like, dang, how does she know that? But you're like going in and getting information and it's spot on every time. And I'm always like, whoa.
I'm going to stop you there because I want to let you know, because I haven't told you this yet, because in the course, I was like, ooh, I wonder what she's thinking. I wonder, because I don't have that therapy. I'm not a therapist, but I've used my experience and, you know, and the help that I've been giving women for the last 3 years to really guide women now. So like I was always like wondering like, ooh, like, what is she thinking? Like, am I saying the right things, terms, like all that. So it's funny that you brought that up. So thank you.
Yeah, you know, like even in some of those like challenges, I remember you would stop and be like, they're telling me to say this. And I would be like, that's so spot on. It's just, that blows my mind. But like, so what I've put together that was part of the missing. So I think therapy is good because I know that it really enhanced what I got out of this. And I think this has even enhanced my therapy because I really had a super powerful session last week that wouldn't have gotten where it did without my spiritual stuff. So I was like, yay. And then I could take it and run even further with it. But like, what I've come to understand is like that sense of feeling alone inside that I think I'm in good company with that. Really, what I figured out, I don't think you and I have even talked about it, is it's like this it's like an emptiness. There's like something vacant there that I just couldn't put a finger on. I couldn't figure it out. And and that sense of feeling alone, it's like you want to fill it with something, and everybody reaches different ways for that. And I think some of us, especially people in this group, are reaching for men, and it makes us really, it's like that we've got that, there's a term for it. It's like a blind spot where there's information we don't have that we can't see because we don't know to look for it. And it's a really trippy word, but so when we go into a relationship, we don't know to look for this stuff, and it makes us really vulnerable. And it's that sense of feeling empty and alone. I think that I had it my crosshairs. I was like, there's something about that I had to crack the code. I had to figure out what that was. But long story short is just when I started tapping into the spiritual stuff, because this program goes from like how to understand yourself, and then it throws you into space with how far you could go with really discovering that you're not alone, and that human beings really cannot, especially, and I'm not dogging on men, but men cannot give us what we need. And I don't think we can give men what they need. We really cannot. And you know, I know like religiously they say that. And I believe in God, and anyone who doesn't just has a different idea of what God is. But like that makes me feel not empty. I don't feel empty anymore because I feel like that is not true anymore. And that feels, I am like, that just feels like I'm surfing.
Yeah.
And I've never surfed before. And I feel like that gliding on the water and that cool feeling just,
It's funny, isn't it funny? And guys, let me know in the comments below, like, are you enjoying Wendy's story here? Are you resonating with it? Because I'm sure that a lot of you on here are, especially if you've been through toxic relationships, and this loneliness that she's feeling, this void that she's trying to fill. And isn't it funny, because we think like chasing the guy and getting that relationship and those ups and downs, especially with narcissists in the beginning with the love bombing and all of that, like it gives us that high, the high that we're looking for. But spirituality actually can give you that high as well, because when you connect to that higher self and the higher vibration, it's like a whole new like game, really.
Yeah. Well, like even AA, any kind of addiction. People can reach for food and gambling and sex and anything that just fills that void for a second. It makes it feel better now, but it doesn't feel better later. It feels awful. Yeah. And I love the idea that these people come into our life, and I love that idea of being catapulted. It's like okay, you thought you had it figured out, but you're pretty far from having it figured out. So here, let me help you find out how far off you are. So I'm grateful for all of it, because I would have never gotten here. And
yeah.
Good. Where I was with him, even though I thought it was good, was bad. It was really bad. So I'm like, whew. So yeah, the peace. I'm actually, I never thought this soon I would say I was grateful for all that, but I am.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of women say ending the program, where they can now understand why they went through it and what it's done for them. Because a lot of the times, like you just said, you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. Like I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, helping all these women heal if I didn't go through that, I would probably still be in the marriage, still be miserable, maybe even probably on anxiety medication, if not dead right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was so miserable. So, but, and you said something there that I want to bring attention to is like, a lot of women think they can do it on their own. They think by watching the videos and like, you know, writing in their journals and doing that. Can you elaborate on that? Like, as a therapist and being in the program and stuff, like, I mean, I'm sure that we can do it on our own, but what do you think about getting the help that from somebody else that can see things that they can't? Like, can you go into that a little bit as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think part of being a therapist, I say to somebody a couple times a week, like, you know, if we could just do it on our own, or we could just snap our fingers and be where we want to be, I wouldn't have a job. You know, I mean, it wouldn't. And I kind of love that design because we need each other, because we can't be objective. I don't know a therapist who doesn't wish they could listen to their kids and their spouse as well as they listen to their clients. My brother says that about being a teacher. He's like, God, if I could just do this with my kid and my wife. So like, I think I love that design, that that interconnectedness, and that sense of we need each other to help ourselves, you know, and that forces us to be vulnerable and open up and connect. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And Kim is here. She's asking, if you don't have a bad marriage that you need to get away from, I'm not sure if you wrote another comment, but what I will say is that it doesn't necessarily need to be a toxic relationship that jolts you into your healing process, right? It can be other things. It could be losing a best friend. It could be someone passing away. It's that tower moment, as you had spoken about before, right? It's the tower moment where you feel like everything around you is falling down. And I love that tower. When I get the tower, I'm like, oh crap, but like, oh yeah, because it's like, I know that things are going to fall away, but so I can build them stronger. So it doesn't always have to be a toxic relationship. And most of the time, like in the program, as you saw, like we go back to the childhood, because those are where those subconscious beliefs are formed. But as you learn now, it's also where the energy is stored. So why don't you go into a little bit about your experience, because you didn't have energy healing experience prior to the program. You had only done that one time. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey through the program with all the energy healing?
Yeah, well, I can say, because I do like EMDR and sensory motor and havening, just so I do in my work with people, which I thought was really powerful, a lot of releasing of energy, as I put it, which is very different. And people, you know, we do ego state work. So there's, you know, how you understand all these different parts of us, you know, our true self, plus these, you know, fragments of ourself that either hold pain or have accommodating strategies to try and feel okay about what doesn't feel okay. And like, so that was the work that I was accustomed to. And you can get pretty far with that. And a lot of times for people in there, we call it like a safe place or a sanctuary where we come to do the work. They can bring in resources of you know, like animals or nature, or, you know, even, you know, Buddha, God, or Jesus, or angels, whatever. And I always felt like that was really important to have in there. Right. I just didn't realize there was a spiritual family itself too. And like part of what was the most powerful thing for me that happened in my therapy was that my spiritual family came together with my ego state family, and all of the ones that were injured or were accommodating went away. And so it was just my my little self together with all my spiritual parts. And then since then because I've never been able to get my wounded little self into adulthood. She's always been little, and that's what my journey's been this week, is really just allowing myself to grow up and realize I'm safe now. It's different now, and it feels so solid. It's an unbelievably, I mean, I just feel like I've made leaps and bounds every week. I'm just like, whoa.
Wow.
I thought I was so like evolved and like enlightened before all of this. So this is just knocking me over. I'm just like, whoa.
I know. I love every week when you're coming live and you're telling your stories, your spirit guides, and all this. And I'm like, yes, like, this is amazing. Yes.
It is. It has been. And I just still feel like I'm just starting to get it. I mean, I can feel that. I mean, I'm almost intimidated by it, but I'm working on that's where I'm at right now, just to go with it and unleash it and make friends with it and feel more comfortable with it, because it's really intense in a really good way. I mean, it's that intensity that you're looking for in love with another person is so much more mind-blowing and intense and wonderful because it's not so scary. I mean, it's scary because it's so wonderful, but knowing that it's not going to fall and knowing, and it's just ugh, I love it.
I love it. All right, ladies, are you enjoying this conversation and how much passion she has for the spirituality? And I absolutely love that. And you had said something where, like, this program is only 8 weeks. So the amount of work that you've done and to where you've gotten in 8 weeks, like, that's all the power of energy healing, because it's literally releasing the energy that is stuck around the situations that you had been in, right?
Well, I've always believed that that you need something bigger than you to do the healing that felt so big, the pain that felt so big when you're little. I've always known that, and this just clicked with that completely. And really, that was the missing link. It feels like it's a beautiful marriage with healing. I mean, I just love it.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit. I know you have a daughter. You had shared a little bit of your story with your daughter. So, like, can you share a little bit of how you brought your spirituality into your relationship as well?
So my older daughter she'd had a really bad experience with a really not well person. Like, it was a brief, they were being friends. It's a long story. And he got really dangerous with her and had a gun, and she ended up running out, knowing he was either going to kill her or him. And so that was really traumatizing for her. So she was here over the Christmas break, and we did a healing together. One of your Reiki. I was like, "Hey, you want to check it out?" And she's like, "Sure." She's an amazing. I mean, she is. I mean. She's leaps and bounds beyond me on the spiritual stuff already. And she's only 19. And she, like, because she doesn't have, that was her first trauma. I'm like, hey. So, although there's other stuff, but like, that was a really big, scary thing for her. And so it was like a cord cutting from someone who had hurt you. I can't remember what it was. So after, she said she's had therapy and everything, and nothing had helped her feel like it was over, and that she was separate from this person and all the energy was out of her. And so I think it was Mike. I can't remember which archangel came and used the sword, the cord, and pulled the cord back and everything. And like a year or two before, she had been at a friend's house, and they had like some samurai swords on the wall, and she was like, "Oh my God, I would love to have one of those." And he's like, "No way." And 5 minutes after we got off the call with you, or after we did the healing with you, she got a text from the guy who had the samurai swords, and he said, "The sword is on the way."
Ooh, give me chills. Love it.
It was super bizarre. We were both just like, whoa.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love synchronicities.
Yeah. And too, with my younger daughter, for whatever it's worth, she has, because of my ex, has struggled. Plus, she has her own mental health issues, and so I was very much like, bad things are happening. We have to help her. She's not okay. She's not making good decisions, and she was very objectively not okay. I mean, lots of, and so that was a big stressor. And what was so cool is both of my daughters sat me down and were like, "Mom, she's actually doing okay. She's doing better. You got to back off. You got to figure out some way to back off." And I could hear that, but I could hear like that one ego state that's like your Mildred was just like, "I can't, and you need me." And that was like the codependent stuff. But anyway, the night that I met my spirit guides and they came through, I asked about my younger daughter, and I was like, "Tell me what I need to do." And she was just like, "Shh, don't talk. Just don't say anything. Just be quiet." And I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, that makes sense," because that's what they were asking for. So the next time I saw her, she got in the car and I just didn't say anything. Usually I'm like, "Hey, how are you doing? What's going on? How are you doing?" And I was just like, "Boop." And usually she shuts down and she's like, "Get off me." So but even in that first car ride, just because I wasn't like in her business, she just was sharing with me. And ever since then, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's like I have a normal
cry.
Yeah. So I feel like our connection is really different. And she's even like, "Mom, it feels so good. Thank you. This is what I needed." And I'm like, cool. So it's just, I don't think I would have gotten there on my own, I just don't. I think that was really pivotal. So that was pretty cool to have that intel from the other side.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Ladies, are you loving this? Connecting to your spirit guides. So, I titled the video like how you use energy healing and spirituality to help heal after toxic relationships. And now, before you got into the spirituality, because you said like you believe in God, and were you Christian or Catholic or any other type of religion?
I would say I can buy into it all. I mean, I just take what works and leave what doesn't. And I really believe in this. Like, the first 10 years I was a therapist, I did grief and death and dying. And so I loved just being right on that edge, and just kept me awake, and just knowing that there's something on the other side, and there is something over there, and we can't even conceive it. We can't even, mind-blowing stuff. So so I've always kind of known that. And this all, so like, I feel like God is just that, that just everything that's over there on the other side, and that it's kind and loving, and wants us to be happy and succeed, and realizes that we really don't know what we're doing, and they like to help us. So it's like, I think that fits with all of it. That fits with Buddhism and Christianity and Catholicism, not the Old Testament, but the new stuff. Mm-hmm. And just that oppression and control stuff really doesn't work for anybody anymore. I don't think anyone buys into it. And I think that's really dying. And I don't think it ever worked anyway. It just, controlled the crowds, which some people might argue is not working anymore. Mm-hmm. I think just really being open to all of that and it all clicking really helped. So.
Yeah. So I'm glad you were open to it, because some people are scared of it. Like, what would you say to the people that are kind of scared about it? Like, they hear you talking about people on the other side and spirit guides on the other side, like, mm-hmm. and they've never kind of dealt with that or thought about it, and they're kind of nervous about that. Like, what do you think you would say to them?
Well, I think that's probably normal to be scared because of a lot of, when they talk about hell, and when they talk about Satan and talk about demons and stuff like that. And some of the movies that have come out, it scared the Jesus out of all of us. They were like, those movies themselves were traumatizing. So but just with the research that I've done of all the people who have passed over and come back, it's never bad. I've never heard a bad story. And I've seen testaments of hundreds of people. And, when, you look at people who are mediums or psychics who really aren't like, they're not like, well, maybe it's this, and they're specific. There's really good, definite connection. I've never heard anything negative. I've never heard anyone say anything bad. And I kind of, so Tyler Henry, I love him because he's like the Hollywood medium or whatever. I love watching his show sometimes, but I watched a little show that he had an interview where he's like, so what is on the other side? What's it like? And he's like, well, they can't really tell me. And he's like, oh, come on. You have a connection. Tell us what it is. And he's like, well, here's the best they can tell me. It's like you have a cockroach. And imagine trying to teach the cockroach about algebra. And that's what it's like. So they can't tell us. We can never conceive how complex it is. It's like we can't. We're so simple-minded compared to what's really going on. And so I don't really think I can understand it, but I can appreciate how big and spectacular it is. And so just, I would encourage people to be curious about it and go into it. Because I can say it took a few times to get the spirit guides to come forward, because I think I was even afraid, but I just stuck with it. I'm like, okay, don't let the fear get in the way. Fear is just such a bad connective tissue. So I was stuck with it. I stuck with it. And then they came and I was like, oh.
Awesome.
Super cool.
It's funny, when I started to open up my abilities, I was like, is this real? Like I questioned everything, like every thought that I had, and like I would say it, but then I would like cringe and be like, does that resonate? And they're like, oh my God, yes. And I was like, really? Like, and then like, so when you actually can do it, we talked about today in my 3 days to conquer your confidence challenge, we talked about beliefs, right? And the best way to bust a belief is proof.
Mm.
So if you all of a sudden like don't believe in any of that, but then you have this session where you are connecting to a spirit guide and they actually tell you to be quiet, and then
Mhm.
you do that, and it
Mhm.
changes everything.
Mhm.
That automatically, because it's proof, and we talked about confirmation, conviction today. So that shows our brain that it is true, that this
Mhm.
actually works, and that's like the best thing to do, I would say, in order to shift your beliefs.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Right?
don't think we are as smart as we think we are. We think we know what's going on, but we have no idea. I love that. I say that all the time. So it just opens up for new ways of understanding. So,
Yeah.
so I
And I love
love
that you say that too, because like I don't think we ever stop learning. So like even though like we're healed, and like even though I've created my program and I help women heal through that, like this year I did a lot of healing myself, and I am sure I'm going to keep evolving and healing as well. So like you're
Mhm.
never really done healing, and the program that Wendy went through, it's really, I call it the foundation of healing, because you're healing your childhood. And what I feel is that you heal your childhood first, and it's like a domino effect. And that's why, like, when women will work with me, they'll start to tell me what's going on now. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so tell me about the relationship with your mom, and tell me about the relationship with your dad. Like I automatically go back, because that's usually the root of the issue. And then it will, once you fix that, it kind of dominoes all the way through, right? And then I feel as though once you heal your childhood, then you kind of start to heal, like me creating a business. I start to heal like getting out of my shell and becoming confident with that. And then like when I'm stuck here, now I go back to past lives. And like it's so crazy like how much healing you can actually do. Because when I started spirituality or had my spiritual awakening, I mean, I didn't believe in reincarnation. I didn't believe in dimensions. Like I didn't believe in all the stuff that they were saying, but I just took what resonated and left what didn't. And eventually with my spirit team and stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, there's definitely reincarnation, because I see this, and I see the dimensions. It's kind of like a pyramid to me in my mind. But it's just crazy, because I think I lost my train of thought. But
Believing in it, whether or not it works, if you believe in it or not.
oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, the more that you can believe in it, but the more that you see proof of it, it's going to change everything for you. And you're always healing, is what I think I was saying. We're always healing. So awesome. All right, ladies, do you have any questions for Wendy? Let us know if you have any before we pop off. I do want to invite you to see if you're a good fit for this program that Wendy is speaking of. I will put the link in the comments. If you're watching the replay, you can find the link in YouTube underneath the description box, or you could find it in the description on Facebook in the group, or also in the Facebook page. All right, let me find it. Here we go. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions. Wendy, you're amazing, is inspiring. And like I said, you're different because you are a therapist. And like I said, I was a little nervous for you to come into the program, because I wasn't sure where we were going with it. But I'm glad that you got this amazing, result, and that the passion that you have is just, it's amazing. So let me pop this in here. And this is called the From Pain to Power Mentorship. Was it scary? Did you think it was scary at all? Did I give you tough love or be mean to you at all? I think a lot of women feel like I'm going to give them that tough love. Was it scary to be in there? How was your experience actually in the program?
No, I feel like it was, I think it's amazing that the videos are, every time I think, oh, I need to check this out, there would be something in the Reiki vault that I could do, or like things would build on each other. And I think just in the hour calls once a week, or an hour and a half, they were sometimes, there was no pressure. No, it was just more discussion and encouraging people to share what was happening for them. Really open to whatever happens. A good group, just
Awesome.
a support group. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions. Everyone's loving this. I don't know if you can see this, but everyone's enjoying your story. They're resonating with it so much. So definitely thank you for being here. I popped the link down there. Carol, you're so welcome. She says, OMG, it's resonating on this. We'll watch the replay. She arrived late. So everyone, they're saying thank you. So really, I've enjoyed working with you. So I'm excited to see your journey moving forward and really, really connect. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So once you love yourself and once you connect to that higher self, it's like you don't need that love from anybody else. And that's the most important part, because when you don't need the love and you don't have that attachment to the love, you don't settle for anything that is bad for you. And those narcissists, they go away. You have the strong boundaries. So the From Pain to Power mentorship, basically, we take you through an 8-week process. And I was an accountant before, I was a CPA. So I'm very strategic in my programs. I bring you through a step-by-step process so that it builds, like Wendy was just saying, it builds on each week. So, you know, that's, I think, where we miss the boat sometimes, where we go to an energy healer that's going to help us, but they don't have the process to the step-by-step to build on each other. So it's an 8-week process. I bring you through what's called the Let It Go method, which is basically becoming very aware of your thoughts, your ego, and your energy to identify the root of the issue, to reprogram and release the energy around those roots so that we rip them out. When you rip out a root, nothing else can grow. It's literally like gone. And that's what you're talking about, cutting the cords. Like you literally release a weight off of you. And that is the difference between energy healing and just kind of doing journaling and stuff and talking and stuff like that. You're literally releasing the energy. And then we talk about boundaries, because that's very important. But we have to, that's in week 6. So like it's in week 6 though, because we have to feel worthy enough to enforce our boundaries. And if we don't feel worthy enough, people will walk all over our boundaries. We don't say anything because we don't like confrontation. We don't want to speak up. Our throat chakra is closed. And then we go into the higher self and the spirituality. So it is a process, but it's the right process to let go of the past and embrace your future. So if you are interested in that, you can find that link in the comments below. There are different tiers, so I'm not going to tell you the cost. You'll find that in the questions if you're a good fit, but definitely there's different tiers, so we can talk about that on the call, which one is a better fit for you. All right, so I want to say much love, and I want to say much love to you for being courageous enough to show up, share your story, and inspire other women. So thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, ladies, have a wonderful night. Make sure you hit the like button, give us some love. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Bye, guys.
Bye.